This is Set Raymond of Twice Baked with one brand new tutorial. Actually it's the first one too, so let's give it a try. So okay, what are we going to do today? We're going to learn how to use UV maps for grids. So most of the things will be shown in Photoshop. So the principles are the same. You can use GIMP, you can use any graphical program which looks a bit alike to get the results as I will show you. Or better, actually I'm not going to make a complete model, I'm not going to finish a complete texture, I'm just going to show you the principles. Okay, so how do we apply textures, or how do we make textures? By using a UV map for grids. And how do we apply ambient occlusion maps for that to create shadows? Now, what is a UV map actually? A UV map is nothing more than, or you can better compare it with, for example, a cube which you see here, which you're gonna cut on the angles and you're gonna flatten it out. So you see the lines, you see the objects, you see the faces, everything. Whatever is inside of the lines gonna be painted and you can do something with it. Whatever is outside of the lines you will not see. It will not appear anywhere on your mesh object. A few other examples of UV maps, because this one is a very simple one, but they can be much more complex than that, are these. The principle is the same. Whatever stays in the lines comes on your mesh, is on the faces. Whatever stays out, whatever is black around this, you can do whatever you like there, it doesn't matter. Mostly in my products I take the habit of connecting as much as possible and as logical as possible the edges, the lines that you see. Why? Because if I cut this all in pieces, you're gonna end up with a lot of seams, and nobody likes seams, right? So if there is a seam here, I try to hide it somewhere in a place which is less seen, so somewhere in the back or something like that. And this is a pretty important thing. This way of working I would never use when I do it in a professional, a non-grid way, let's say it. Grids meaning Second Life, In-Worlds, and there are many others. What can we do with UV maps? Actually, with UV maps you can do whatever you like. You can paint it nicely within the lines, you can make gorgeous things, you can use layers, you can do anything you desire, or most of the things at least. And yes, if you are supplied with a 1024 by 1024 texture, you can reduce that texture to a 512 without any problem. Just remind that if you handle these, every single UV point, so the cross between the edges, has to remain on exactly the same place. Never ever change those or use any system to put them on another place. Okay, work. I opened Photoshop, which I did already. I have a UV map in front of me and one wood texture, Bubinga in this case. Now, as I said before, it's not the purpose that I'm gonna make here the complete texture for this. I just want to show you the principles of how this is done. And actually this is a really easy one. We select, so the meaning is actually we have to get the wood texture above this UV map of, in this case, a bat. How do we do that? First of all, we activate the wood texture. Let me drag my layers panel and my toolbox here so that you can see. We select the move tool, we left click on the wood texture, we go up till the level of the tap of the UV. We stand above it. It turns white. It's very important that it turns white. We go down again, release. This is a way to have another layer or import another texture into a certain file. Now let's see here. So our UV map starts here, or this shell as it's called. That's one series or connection of UVs. We put that on top of it, and we're going to make it visible, because like this it will be pretty hard to see anything. We reduce the opacity somewhere that we still can see the texture of the wood, but there we also see the UV underneath. Then we can reduce that by pressing Command T for a Mac. I presume it's going to be Control T for a PC, and we can reduce the size of this texture. We can pull it, we can do. Normally it's not so ideal for textures to pull them too much, so I'm going to do Command C to go a step backwards. I presume Control. Command mostly is Control, but not always. We're going to constrain the size by clicking on this chain here and maintain aspect ratio, it says. Like that, everything gonna be equally downgraded. We pull it there, we select the layer, we fix it. I'm gonna make a copy of it. There are other ways, this is just a way. The principle is just you fill whatever you have there. Command J to make a copy of the layer. Pull the layer. This is a seamless texture, and you will see that right away. Put it nicely next to it. And here we can stretch it. This type of stretching should go, but for the sake of good order, we make another copy. We put that aside, and we're going to cut it a bit, otherwise it doesn't look very nice. 1, 2, 3, bit over, oops, and delete. If this is exported, whatever goes over this line will not be visible. Whatever is in it gonna remain. Command D to deselect. Now mind that you give a little bit over the white border, otherwise you can have a really ugly black line which is a residue of the black here on the other side. So it's really ugly. So go a little bit over those lines, it doesn't matter at all. We can be creative. For a better, I will let you be creative. You can put here a nice inlay of work. You can paint this completely white, make some shadows on it, make nice flowers designs on it. I let you free in that. For me, just showing how this works. Don't forget to bring up your opacity again, because otherwise you're gonna see your lines in your texture too. Not a big deal. And then if you do that everywhere on every single piece, you finally can bring in your ambient occlusion maps. Okay, one thing forgotten, and an important one. It's all very nice and well to see what goes where and to fill everything up, but which part is this actually? Where does it belong? How can we determine that? Some people give it and they write on it, but it's not always so clear. What do you do with these kind of small elements? So it doesn't always work. Best way is to figure out and do a little test by yourself. Same thing again. We're just gonna make some color on it. So clicking on this button gives us a new layer. Layer 2 called right now. And we make a selection. And we say, alright, from here to here. And we're going to put some color on top of it. so then we know it exactly. Some things are so obvious, but not always. Now, making a color, we select the bucket, and there are two ways to find a new color. First of all, you click on the foreground color here. We shovel around a bit. Alright, let's make it a blue, this blue. Okay, fill it up, give a bit of opacity. It's always nice, you see it better in a test thing. And we make a new selection. Let's make the one up, or just move our selection up to this one. Shift arrow key up. Let's go you by 10 up, otherwise it's a lot of pressing. Another way to find a color is pressing, and that's pretty acrobatic actually. Control Alt Command and the Shift key all together. Left click and you get also a way of choosing a color. I want to go to this yellow here. We're gonna change it a bit, make it a bit darker. Okay, fill it up, and there we have another color. If you do that for every element, you res it in world, whichever world it might be. You upload it as a temp file, and you apply that UV texture, or you apply the texture actually, because then it's a texture. You will see which color corresponds with which sides. It's gonna make it a lot easier for you. So, just a handy tip. Alright, I'm sorry people, I see that I'm almost on 12 minutes, so I have to make a second video for the ambient occlusion maps. So please follow the link, go to the stuff and get the second one if you're interested. If you like the video, do me a favor, subscribe here, this button here, or like would be really helpful for me, and I do hope that you see the second tutorial. Keep tuned. Bye.